Hello, welcome to Free Will, Science, and Religion. I'm Chandler Klebs, and I'm here with George Ortega, David Joseph, Nick Vale, Roni Cairns, and Jamie Soden. And in our last episode, we were talking with our new guest Roni about blame, responsibility, and choice and all that. And she brought up a notion of there being sort of a good blame and a bad blame, and she thinks that we're focusing on the negative. But for this episode, maybe we need to back up a little bit and talk about the free will topic and explain why in this podcast we're saying we don't have a free will, because Ronnie believes that humans do have a free will. So we need to walk through this idea, because the notion of a free will and that humans actually genuinely have a choice is very much tied into the responsibility aspect. So,
Chandler, let's start out with a quick definition.
Yeah.
Ronnie, how are you defining free will?
All right, let me pull this up. Let me get this. Let me just Google free will.
And so after you define it, then David will kind of like present his rationale for why we don't have a free will.
Okay. Free will is defined as the power of acting without the constraint of necessity or fate. The ability to act at one's own discretion.
Excellent. Perfect. David, you're on.
Right, okay. So I would say that we're all products of our environments. So whatever ideas, whatever thoughts you have stem from experiences you've been given by your environment or by any genetic predisposition you may have had.
So that a human being is incapable of moving beyond their environment.
What do you mean moving beyond their environment?
Moving beyond their experience. Let's say that you're raised in an abusive household. You
Right.
think that a human being is capable of being non-abusive despite being raised by an abusive household?
Definitely, yeah. It depends what influences they've had in their life experience.
Well, they've been raised in an abusive environment, so
if all they've had is abuse, then
are they incapable by
Ronnie,
every
let me finish.
way?
Ronnie, hold on. Let David explain.
it's okay. It's okay. I like the way she explains it.
I'm just asking questions. I just
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
They're very rational questions too. Yeah.
I mean, would you say it's possible to know something that you haven't been exposed to?
That's a really good question right there.
Yeah.
I say that it's possible to know something that I haven't been exposed to. Huh. I would like to say that I would not be able to know something that I was not exposed to. However, I can know that I was not exposed to something.
All right, but that's a different matter, though, right?
Well,
I think I've lost myself.
I expose myself to something if I know first that I wasn't exposed to it in the first place.
For example, in other words, like if nobody taught us that stealing is wrong, how would we know it?
How would we know it? I think that it's kind of in yourself, actually. I mean, think about it. Would you appreciate it if somebody stole from you?
All right, so let's say it is in ourselves. Let's say it's genetic. So then, like, are we responsible for this conscience being in ourselves? Is it something that we do, or is it something that we're programmed? Exactly. Very good. Okay. Go ahead, Dave.
Consciousness being here is beyond us, but the choices we make, I don't believe, are beyond us.
Okay, I'll let Jamie go from here, I think.
Cool.
Well, what David and George are trying to say is that everything has a cause. Even human consciousness and decisions, thoughts have a cause. And if they have a cause, then that means they cannot be free. That's why George, he promotes this idea of causal will, because that's pretty much what it is.
Just because there is a beginning does not mean that the middle is and just because the middle is dependent on the beginning does not mean that the middle has to go a certain way.
But the timeline can only go in one way. It's not, it's not.
But it doesn't mean that it has to.
Well, Ronnie, how are you defining causality?
Causality? Do I need to Google this again? Just going to Google all the things.
Well, that's a good way to go about it, Ronnie. And I like that you're asking these questions. I mean, because I know you like the philosophical discussions, so
right.
I hope
you should bear in mind that I'm not telling you that you're right or that you're wrong. I'm merely asking so that I can better understand what you mean.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That's good. That's what makes for peaceful dialogue, because, you know, I'm a pacifist, too, and I want people to be peaceful and not violent.
That's nice. Yeah.
Okay, causality is simply the relationship between cause and effect. It doesn't say that effect must go a certain way because of a cause.
All right, then, Ronnie, how would you define cause and effect?
I would say that cause would be the beginning or the source of something, and the effect would be how that something reacts to the cause.
All right. Does everything have a cause?
I believe that everything does have a cause except for cause itself.
All right. So Chandler, go from that and explain how, like, if everything has a cause, free will would therefore be categorically impossible.
Right. Basically, everything that any one of us is doing, and I'll just use myself as an example for this. Anything that I'm thinking, everything I'm feeling, every word I speak, there's a cause to it. It's words I've heard, and those words have meanings. I've taught those words mean certain things. Everything goes back, and that has a cause, and that has a cause. And so everything that I'm doing now comes from the past, from the way I was raised, the way I was born, my genetics. And so basically everything since starting my life from moment of conception, and that had a cause too. You know, our parents, you know, they have sex, and that's how we end up here. So basically,
you have choices.
Well, here's the deal. This idea of choice makes it sound like an effect could be, they could choose, an effect could choose itself, and that the cause doesn't actually cause anything, that the effect is free from the cause. And that's the logical conflict there.
The effect is free from, can you clarify that? The effect is free from the cause.
Right. What we're saying is that cause and effect, something, it's in the effect of something, the cause, when something causes something. For example, I have a pony here, and if I throw this pony over there, then I have caused that pony to land in my laundry basket over there.
Actually, you just caused it to go up in the air.
Well, yeah, and then you might say it was also caused by the gravity to fall, too. Yeah, but basically, what's so interesting about that is, you know, what we're saying, though, is that something can choose to not be effect, like, if an effect could be free from the causes, like that there's a way to nullify the causes. And it's sort of like a good example, a very personal example. So if we want to use personal examples, when someone says something hurtful and mean, and they're bullying you and hating you for something, well, you want to be able to nullify it. You want it to not bother you, the mean things they're saying, but it still hurts you. Even if you're not showing it, it still hurts you, you know? Because if we had the way we look at it is sort of like, if we had a free will, we could feel whatever we want to feel. We would never feel unpleasant thoughts or sad. You know what I'm saying? The point is we don't choose how we feel about things, and we react to things that way. And this is both biological and environmental. Because there's our biology, our genetics, our way we're hardwired to like certain foods or sexual orientation or something like that. That's one part of it. The other part of it is how we're raised. And would people like me to use my Santa Claus example?
Chandler, hold on. So you've introduced two other reputations of free will. You know, the environmental, how we're raised, and, you know, the predisposition for pleasure. But let's stay with the causality a bit longer, because that's really the fundamental reason why free will is impossible. Ronnie, how does it sound so far in terms of like if everything has a cause, then you have a chain of cause and effect that regresses behind everything that happens, everything we do, and this chain of cause and effect regresses back to before we were born. So as soon as it regresses back to before we were born, obviously things that happened before we existed are completely compelling everything we do. How does that sound?
Well, it's true, but that doesn't mean that doesn't mean that you don't have free will just because things existed before you.
All right, David, how would you respond to that?
Let me. Oh, sorry. Keep going.
No, go ahead.
It's okay. Go ahead.
No. I want to hear your response.
Well, Jamie, I'll let Jamie jump in again if he wants to answer for me.
I'm excited. I'm having a good time. So.
Yeah, I knew you would, Ronnie.
Well, there's only one causal chain per universe, isn't there, George? I mean, you can't have multiple causal chains in the same universe. That's not how it works. Because time.
Perfect.
Yeah, as Einstein once said, I think it was quoted by someone else. Time is like an arrow; it moves in one direction. You go from the past to the future, but not the other way around.
Well, right. The past and the future are both actually inaccessible to the present. Actually, if you were to go back in time, you wouldn't be going to the past because you can't access the past. You would just access a different present.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
And Ronnie, another way of explaining what Jamie's describing is like, imagine the universe at the Big Bang. Let's say there was a Big Bang 13.8 billion years ago. And so, like, the next moment of the universe is completely dependent on it. You're smiling. Are you more of a kind of like, do you believe in the theological definition of creation or more of the scientific natural?
Both.
Okay, all right. But like the universe, okay, so like the universe, let's not go back to the Big Bang. Let's go back to 4,000 years ago. Okay, 4,000 years ago, the universe was in a certain state. Okay, and then
good. You're explaining what happened 4,000 years ago because I wasn't there, so.
No, I know, but 4,000 years. Fortunately, it falls within both the scientific and the theological time frame. In other words, like the theological time frame says we've been here for like 5,775 years. So all right. So basically, the state of the universe 4,000 years ago was completely caused by the state of the universe immediately prior to that. And it was the cause of the state of the universe subsequent to that. So you have one state of the universe leading to the next state of the universe leading to the next state of the universe leading to the next. How does that sound?
I think you're confusing cause with beginning.
How? Explain.
Okay, we can talk about what caused a book to be created, and that book would be, the cause of the book would be the writer. But you wouldn't say that the writer is the beginning of the book, because the beginning of the book is actually the first word of the book.
Exactly. Well, basically, the way we're defining cause is like, basically...
And you're saying that there's, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're saying that there is a cause to every cause, right?
Absolutely.
But there's also... If you believe in, well, a beginning to everything, that there is a beginning. If you believe that there is a beginning to everything, then there can only be one beginning. Because if there is a beginning to a beginning, then the second beginning is not actually the beginning.
Right on.
Ronnie, so let's say we accept that. So like we would have to acknowledge this beginning came before we were born, right? It couldn't have come after we were born.
Definitely.
All right, so then
there was not a beginning to things.
So that we've got a beginning to everything happening before we were born, then this chain of cause and effect, basically advancing from that, and that chain of cause and effect includes not just the entirety of the universe, but every specific motion, action that happens within the universe.
Oh, right. The universe is one big machine. There are thousands and millions and billions of different parts, and trillions and zillions and however many illions you want to add. But it's all one big universe. Right? All right, so do you understand how this chain of cause and effect that started before we were born compels everything we do as human beings? Oh, right. There is absolutely an order to all things. But this doesn't say that human beings have no choice in the things that they do. How are you defining choice? The ability to do something or not do something, and do something and not do something? All right, well, wait a minute,
Yeah, but the definition of libertarian...
Chandler knows I'm into paradoxes. I will fight you on this.
All right, let's go to the dictionary again. What does Google say about choice? Can we go to the dictionary again? Let's see what Google says about choice. How does Google define choice?
All right, let's go to Google. Google
is free choice or just choice itself?
Say that again, Jamie.
Are we talking about choice or free choice?
Actually,
you can't have free choice at all if there is no choice to be had.
Actually,
right.
And that
would just be
Jamie,
free.
And Jamie, that's a good point because, like, I think most technically we're talking about choice, and then more colloquially we're talking about free choice. But yeah, we want to know what choice actually means.
The act of selecting or making a decision when faced with two or more possibilities.
Okay, now, Ronnie, do you believe the computers make choices?
Not in the same way that humans do. Computers only make choices in the way that humans can allow them to have allowed them to make choices. For example, if you get right down to the nitty-gritty of computers, you have a 1 and you have a 0. That's it.
So in other words, computers don't make choices with their program in everything they quote-unquote choose. They have to, all right, so like how are we different from computers?
That's a good question. So I guess I should amend what I said. Computers do have a choice between a 1 and a 0.
You can't.
It's obviously not a free choice because it's all deterministic in computers.
And actually, all right, Ronnie.
Yeah, but determinism doesn't necessarily mean that there is no choice to be had. For example, the computer can choose to work 1, or it can choose to not work 0.
Ronnie, how about like?
And that is a choice because it is based on 2 possibilities.
All right. You're asked to choose between. Hold on, Jamie. You're asked to choose between an orange and an apple. Okay, but a scientist has connected to the back of your head this kind of like a sonar device or something that is actually going to make you choose the apple. So then, like, given that example, is that your choice? Are you choosing the apple?
Do I have the ability to resist the machine?
No, you don't.
Then I do not have a choice.
There you go. So that's another result.
But let's go back. You know who does have a choice?
Who's that?
The scientist.
Okay, all right, but Chandler, take it from there. So, like, why does the scientist not have a free will either?
Because that scientist also was programmed by forces outside their control. They are also an effect of prior causes, just as the machine.
But the only one who doesn't have a choice is me. The only one who's being controlled is me. The one controlling my choice, quote unquote choice, because it's not actually a choice if I can't actually select myself, is the scientist. The scientist has the choice here.
Actually, what we're saying is actually quite different, Ronnie. We're saying you're not the only one being controlled, but that the scientist is being controlled, and whoever's controlling the scientist is also being controlled. Because we all are controlled by something. We're all programmed by something.
So the scientist is not choosing for me.
In a certain sense, even the scientist isn't choosing. It's just that the actions of the scientist.
Why is the scientist not choosing?
Because there's a reason or cause for what they're doing as well.
Yeah, environmental.
Cause and effect, while mutually exclusive, are also very much together. They need each other to exist. For example, you could not actually have a cause if there was not an effect, and you could not have an effect if there was not a cause. So while they're very, very different, they work together.
Right. What you're saying is they're kind of inseparable. You can't have one without the other.
They're separately inseparable.
Right.
Excuse me.
She's being paradoxical again.
They are separately inseparable is actually, you know what, that works.
Yeah, you can't have one without the other, absolutely. But Ronnie, do you understand how, like, you wouldn't have a free will because something is compelling you to choose the way you chose, and then the scientist wouldn't have a free will because this causality, this process of cause and effect, is influencing both you and the scientist and everyone.
Well, if the scientist wasn't behind me, I would actually have a choice.
Can I jump in here?
Absolutely.
Ronnie, is there a food that you really, really hate?
That I really hate?
Yeah.
Hate is a
But one that you really like? One that you really like?
I like all foods.
What's your favorite food?
This is really hard.
Well, one of your favorite foods.
Okay, let's go. I have a lot of favorites, so we're going to go with pizza.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Can't go wrong with pizza.
Right. And why do you like pizza?
Because I like pizza.
Okay. Did you choose to like pizza?
Yes.
You did choose to like pizza.
Yes. Actually,
sure?
I have a funny story, actually. I went to this. I did choose to like pizza. I could choose to not like pizza. I could choose to focus on the things that I don't like about pizza and then not like it. Or I could choose to like the things that I like about pizza and like pizza. A lot of people don't like sour cream.
Right, yeah.
It tastes nasty.
All right, but Ronnie,
A lot of people who like sour cream also like cheesecake. There's sour cream and cheesecake, friends.
All right, but wait a minute. So, like, you like pizza, right? Now, are you saying like if you had a taste of pizza right now, you could say, "Oh, I hate this pizza." Are you saying?
I could definitely say it. Would it be true? No.
There you go. Exactly. So
There you go.
David's point.
But I have a choice to say it.
No, all right, but David's point is that, like, you know, your favorite or one of your favorite foods is pizza, and, like, it's not, I don't think you ever chose, oh, yeah, I'm going to choose pizza as my favorite food. This is something, you know, that you developed, something that maybe you were born with and all. So our preference in foods, our preference in music, our preference, you understand how, like, we have these built-in preferences?
Excuse me, sorry. Carbonation, not good.
Go on.
All right. So you mentioned that I have these preferences, right? And you would say that these preferences are subjective. They're meaning that I am the only one who could have the certain specific preferences that I have, right?
Well, I mean, I think, like, you know, a lot of people might have pizza as their favorite food, but it's not really, like, it's their preference too.
Okay. The thing about subjectivity is that it applies to all things. So subjectivity is also objective.
Another paradox, man.
Just wait a minute. How does subjectivity and objectivity relate to the question of, like, whether, you know, a preference?
You're saying as an objective truth that there is no will. There are no free will. Excuse me. And you're saying that is an objective truth.
Right, absolutely.
Meaning that it applies to all people.
Absolutely.
But you would also say, as you have said, mentioning my desire and love for pizza, that it is subjective.
Well, it's
all of our tastes are subjective, and all of our environments are subjective. So all of our subjectiveness is objective.
But there's a cause or a reason for why you like pizza. That's what he's trying to say.
Which is an objective.
But even more than that, Ronnie, I think you're using subjective and objective in two different senses. In other words, like, the objective fact is that, you know, you have a preference for pizza. And it is, yes, in a different sense, it's your subjective preference, but it's an objective fact that you have a preference for pizza.
Yeah.
It is an objective fact that I am subjectively appreciative of pizza.
Yeah. Yeah, and see, what the most important thing is that you didn't choose to
No, I didn't choose to like pizza, but I can sure choose to eat pizza or choose to not eat pizza.
Right, and yet the reason that you would choose to eat pizza is because you like pizza.
Or because I'm hungry and food sustains me.
Yes, and that's another one of the causes that leads people to eat things.
Well, hunger is the primary cause of eating, so...
Yeah, exactly, because if we had a free will, we wouldn't need to eat. I mean, seriously, like, we had a choice, like, we could just
Whoa, friend. I think we're getting a little out of hand.
I'm actually...
If we had truly free will, then we could control everything in our environment. That's not what free will is, friend. Free will, by definition, is the ability to be free to make a choice based on what you have.
Based on what you have? Well, what does it mean? What does that mean, based on what you have?
Okay, if you have a piece of cake and a piece of pie sitting right in front of you, your free will, you are free to decide whether to eat the cake or to eat the pie. Now, you might have a cause of why you would choose the pie or choose the cake. But the point is that the choice is there, and you can actually choose to eat the one you don't like.
But Ronnie, here's the thing. I'm about 5 pounds overweight, and I have a choice between eating and not eating. Now, if I want to lose this weight fast, I'm going to not eat. I've been trying to lose these 5 pounds.
About it.
I've been trying to lose these 5 pounds for 3 weeks and stuff. So basically, what we're saying is that we have these options before us, but we're not free to choose one option or another.
You're free to choose. You're not free from consequences. That's the difference.
Well, wait a minute.
If you choose to starve yourself, then there's probably going to be something bad that happens. It's going to be really unpleasant.
All right.
It's still a choice to starve yourself.
There are so many people who, let's say, are overweight and want to lose weight, but you seem to suggest that because they have a free will, they could simply say, "Well, I'm going to lose this weight. I'm going to eat less at each meal."
Isn't that where weight loss starts?
Yes, but then why are so many people failing at it? Because there's a lot of overweight people in the world, including myself.
A lot of people like to. Here's the thing: a lot of people like to be comfortable.
Okay, perfect.
Weight loss is very uncomfortable sometimes, especially actually doing it.
Right, Chandler, now.
So it's actually known as a mental illness now because they can't stop eating by definition. Yeah.
Right, and Jamie
you can't stop eating or you'll die, but you can eat. Excuse me. Oh, I should not be drinking the soda. you can choose. See, and I'm making a choice to make myself burp.
Ronnie, you were talking about so you have an option and you have different kind of motivations. Jamie, explain
you can't if you don't care whether or not you live or you die, you can choose to stop eating.
But you said all right, in terms of losing weight, you said that you can choose to feel comfortable. You can choose
to eat better. You may not be able to choose to stop eating, but you can control what goes in your mouth.
Right, but Jamie, explain how with every decision. Hold on, Ronnie. Jamie, explain how with every decision we make, there are competing motivations, and essentially what's happening with every choice is the stronger of two motivations always wins.
Yeah, but the thing is with obese people is that they have this psychological need. I say psychological because they think they've been tricked into believing that they need to eat more than they're actually eating. So they eat in excess. They eat a lot of fatty foods, and they just don't want to exercise.
We got excellent. We've got about 2 minutes left. Ronnie, do you get how causality makes free will impossible? What would be your objection to that refutation at this point?
Just because there is a cause to a choice doesn't mean that the choice doesn't exist.
So, Ronnie, what you're trying to say is that even though your choice is the effect of prior causes...
Even though you have limitations, you have the ability to work within your limitations.
Go ahead, Chandler. You got 2 minutes. Wrap it up.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, though. But here's the deal. What we're saying is that your choice is always going to be within your limitations and whichever of your competing desires is the strongest at that time. And yet you're still saying it's your choice in spite of all that.
I'm saying that you have a choice.
Well, I'm not sure. We're kind of getting low on time. So yes, we're definitely going to want to continue.
We can continue this. There's definitely a lot more to that.
Yes. So I hope you'll stay.
But I had a great time. So.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, Ronnie, this was excellent. Especially the last episode. We've got to redefine how we use the words choice, responsibility, and revenge. I mean, this is awesome.
Yes, this is a great conversation. Thanks so much for joining us, Ronnie. I'm gonna have to.
I hope you like it.
This is great. So I'm gonna have to close this episode, but we'll do more. Okay. You've been listening to Free Will, Science, and Religion with Chandler Klebs, George Ortega, David Joseph, Nick Vale, Roni Cairns, and Jamie Soden. And it's been a great talk about choice and pizza and cake and desires and eating and weight loss and the universe and all sorts of stuff. It's great talk. This podcast is awesome. So stay tuned for more episodes. Bye.